Cliff Notes version of rule changes, especially in jumps, because I know it's confusing, and if you don't know all the lingo or the edges, things take off and all that, it's like, what? How am I gonna know? And why did that get zeros and stuff? So these are, this is a Cliff Notes version. The first two I'm gonna put together. So this is true for junior and senior, because some people compete junior and senior, right? Like domestically, they'll compete senior, but they're too young to compete internationally as senior, so they do junior. That's true of quite a few skaters. So there are 6 jumping passes now. We're starting a new world record era. One must be an axel type jump. That is true in all the levels, just FYI. Adults, preliminary, juvenile. It may vary if it's a single required or a triple required. I don't think there is a triple required. I think you can do a double or a triple in senior men. You know, you have to know your requirement, but one of your six is taken up by the axle already. All the levels. And it's kind of funny because a lot of people, like Junwon Cha, can do these gorgeous quads, and you can see him like, oh no. This used to be Nathan Chen, and then he got his axle more comfortable. It's like, oh no, here it goes, because you're like heaving yourself into space. So there is something very frightening about the axle. A lot of skaters can do quads or triples and don't like the axle. But anyway, it is required. It's one of your 6. The second thing, half loop made a lot more sense for what an Euler is. But anyway, it is called an Euler. It is no longer a jump. Okay, that's going to mean a couple of things. But the most important thing to know about an Euler, why do people do an Euler? Because you can only do a single, like it only goes around one time. People don't do doubles or triples. The only reason an Euler is used at all is to change feet. Okay, that's the most important thing to learn about an Euler. It's so you can change feet. Every jump, including an axel, I'm right-handed. I am going to end on my right outside edge. Every jump, this is my landing position. If I were left-handed, it would be the other way, okay? But so what if I'm doing a combination and say I do a flip, okay? I land, wait, I want to do a jump now in combination, but I take off from my left foot, like for a Salchow. Well, what, do I just switch feet? I can't do that. The only reason the Euler is used, I do the flip, I land here, now what foot am I on? Left. Because a flip or a Salchow takes off from your left foot. So that is the only reason an Euler is used. What's key though is it used to be counted as part of a 3-jump combination, and you can only have one of those in your program. But now it's a step. So I do the flip. Okay? I do the Euler. That's not a jump, even though I'm jumping up in the air and landing. It's not a jump. Salchow, land. I've only done 2 jumps. They used to count it as 3 jumps. Okay, so now we are going to see a lot of this. Now I land, and I can go double axel if I want. So it's going to look like people are doing 4 jumps in a row. Okay, that's the biggest thing with the Euler is now, since it's a transition, you can do like flip, Euler doesn't count, Salchow, step, double axel. But I've gone up and down and turned around in the Euler. So it's like 3 and 4. Flip, Euler, Salchow, axel, but it's not counted that way. The Euler doesn't count. We are going to see a lot of this, and you're going to be like, didn't they do 4 jumps in a row? Yeah, they kind of did. But they were just changing feet. Okay, I think that the reason they wanted to take the Euler out and now you can only do it once at all to change feet, is I want to encourage the other kinds of combinations, which require you, if you're landing on your here, I would either do a toe loop or I would do a loop, because that's taking off and landing on my right foot. Those are my two options. It's harder. You have more time to kind of like fix not a great landing from your first jump if you have the oiler, and you'll see people kind of like hang out for a while and then go. I think they're encouraging the combinations that are like Lutz, land, toe loop. I'm not going around, okay? Toe loop here, land. They're encouraging, it requires a stronger and more accurate, more precise, more correct, controlled landing on the first jump. If someone is really off balance, you can sometimes like see them like not putting their foot down and like muscle the toe loop, okay? The reason the loop is harder, and you'll hear commentators say the loop is harder, is guess what? The first jump, instead of my usual landing position that I've learned from the very beginning of skating, I have to land the first jump like this. Zero exception. No exception. So I'm doing a triple Lutz, okay? 3 times in the year. I have to land exactly like this. Do you notice the check on my circle? Do you notice that I'm wobbling right now, but do you notice how in line I am here? My shoulders are here. My hip is not dropped. I'm not open. I'm not leaning. I'm not leaning in the air. I'm not leaning this way. My arms aren't open. My shoulders aren't open. If you were open, you could reset for the toe loop. The loop jump, you don't put your foot down. You don't put your toe pick in. I have to land like this. My only setup for the loop is that. That's all. Land here and up. There's no reset. There's no fixing a bad landing on the first jump. That's why it's rarely used, and it's really, really hard. You see how hard it would be to every time land exactly like this, when your whole life you've been used to landing like that. Okay, the last thing is no more than 3. No more than 3 of any jump. It's going to impact the toe loop the most. It's done the most in combination. For guys, it's the most commonly done quad, etc. People tack it on. If they miss something, they'll do a double toe later in a program to try and get points back. Now there are only 3. So, for example, if I'm a guy and I have 2 quadruple toes planned, quadruple toe is normally the first quadruple that you would learn. What if I pop the first one and I do a single? I've used up 1 toe loop. I get 0.4 points for that versus for the quad, okay? I've used it up. And I had a triple Lutz triple toe plan, but I get off a triple Lutz double toe. I've used 2 toe loops now. Think of how many points I've lost, okay? And then, but what if I miss a loop combination and I try and stick on a double toe at the end of the program? It's not going to count, and it's going to count against me. 3 of any jump. It doesn't matter. Single, double, triple, quad. A toe loop is a toe loop is a toe loop, okay? That's a way to understand that rule of repetition of jumps. 3. So it could be a loop, it could be a Lutz. The toe loop is most going to be the one that's disqualified or as an invalid element, because people who are scrappy try and figure out a way to add a combo later in their program, and it's usually going to be by adding a double toe. So all these double toes are going to be costly, okay, because people are just used to adding a double toe if they missed something earlier. 3. If I can do a quintuple toe and I mess up and I do a single toe in the beginning, I've used one of my toe loops. Doesn't matter what I'm capable of, I'm going to get a 0.4 for that toe loop. So those are the major rules. Hope that helps. Have fun watching skating.